Hello, and today we're going to learn how to clip the layers together, how to preserve opacity, how to make a layer mask, and how to change opacity, all in lesson 4. So the first thing we're going to do is learn how to clip layers together. As you can see over in my little layers panel, you'll see some folders and a little layer that says Sora on it. Now, in order to clip layers, we are going to make a new layer, and we're going to name it Shadow. We're going to name this layer Shadow. We're going to click OK. Now, we're going to go over here above the little layer section and go to clipping group. So now there's this little red line in front of the shadow layer. And what this means is that it's now clipped to the Sora layer. So whatever is on the Sora layer is all we can color within. So for example, if I take the marker and I get the water drop, get red, and then we'll take the marker and we're going to make this a little bit darker. We're going to zoom in, and now if I zoom in, I can color all of Sora red. Now everything is red. And I want them all red, so we can color within him, but we cannot color outside of Sora, which is really good for coloring if you want to stay in lines without having to worry about cleaning up afterwards. So we're going to do that. And that is how you clip layers. All you do is you just make sure the layer that you want to stay within is underneath the layer you are clipping. Because if I drag the shadows layer underneath Sora, I will no longer be coloring within Sora. I will be coloring within the island background. As you can see, the island is now turning red. Sora is no longer turning red, it is the background. So that is that for clipping layers. Undo that. And we're going to put that back on top of Sora. And now we're going to delete it. Next, you want to know how to preserve opacity. So we're going to make a new layer, and I'm going to kind of just draw on the side here. And I'm going to go over to the opacity. And what opacity means is it's how much you can see of whatever you're working with. It's how much you can see through it. The more, if you're at 100% opacity, that means you cannot see through it. And if you slowly go down, you can see more through it, and it slowly fades out. And if you want to preserve the opacity, all you have to do is go underneath the opacity option and click Preserve Opacity. This will lock the opacity on it, and no matter what, it will stay at that opacity. And of course, if you change the opacity while you're still in it, that layer, it will change even though you've locked it. It just means if you mess around it, if you're like coloring within the layer, like say you get another brush tool, it just means you can only color within that little spot. will stay that same opacity. So if I get another color, it will just stay like that. Okay, and now we know how to preserve the opacity and how to change the opacity. And as you can see, you can actually see some of the lines I drew within the, when it was locked. It's still locked, and I cannot draw outside of it. It fades it. So that's, take it off, it's still, now I can draw outside of it. Now I cannot draw outside of it. And that's all that does. And now we're going to learn how to make a mask. We're going to click on the selection tool, and we're going to stay on the Sora layer. We got to make sure that whatever we're selecting is a large enough area. So if I were to select on the island, that I could mask, but I don't want to mask that, so undo that selection. And we're going to mask Sora here. And we're going to click back on the layer. Okay. And we are going to click on this little new layer mask, and that's going to create this other little box area inside that layer. Now we're going to want to click on the little other thumbnail of the layer, and now all we can do is draw within Sora. I cannot change anything outside of Sora. I just go to undo. Nothing else can be changed. Now, if I wanted to increase my masking area, all I'd have to do is... Okay, you guys may have noticed that the little key-like item in his hand has disappeared. That is because these were not selected within the mask layer, and what has happened, as you can see, it's been covered. Anything that's on this layer that is not selected will be covered. That's what a mask does. So you only color within the area that has been selected. Now if I go back and I also select the Keyblade area and his hand, let's just do this. Select all of this. And it will also be included in the mask. I know I'm not doing the best job selecting it here, but it's for an example. And I'm using a mouse. Okay, good enough. Everything is selected. Okay. Then we remake the mask, and now everything within Sora is now officially selected. And now, make sure that you do click on the other little thumbnail in order to be able to draw on him. So now I can scribble all inside Sora, and he is not gonna be drawn out of. Well, that is it for lesson 4. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and go take the quiz.